We're joined now by Subalekha, communications lead for Project Lantern, and you've just been telling me kind of a little bit here about your project, and I'm basically in love. I think it's incredible, but first, can you tell us a little bit about your backstory, because I think it might explain how you came to create such a cool device that we're going to show you in just a second.
So my background, I'm originally from India, but I've lived in the United States for about 15 years now, and my background is in computer science and design, and most of my work for the past 8 years or so has been around how to use technology for human progress, and disaster recovery is something that I've been interested in for many years. And Project Lantern came about really as a team effort, because a lot of people on our team had gone through disasters themselves. I was in the big earthquake that happened in Mexico City last year, and the founder, Jonah Model, who created this, has been working on offline systems for over a decade. So it was really a merging of these two different areas where we realized that when disaster happens, especially last year, so many people were offline, and that time relief and other efforts couldn't reach them. And also there was really no visibility of what was really going on with them.
What was your experience during that earthquake in Mexico City?
I think my initial experience was because you really have no control, and the loss of control and how you deal with it it really pushes and pulls between your emotional and your physical strengths, and then when things are a little bit okay, even beyond the moment, the next couple of days are much harder because it's complete chaos. Everybody's running around, everybody's trying to solve some problem because we want to give as human beings to other human beings, but really don't know where to give, how to give, because we don't have real structures to do that. And I think during that time I did a lot of research for Project Lantern itself to talk to relief workers as to where did they feel lack of guidance, or what happened, what could be improved. Because a lot of times the infrastructure that you already have, delivery systems you already have, you cannot rely on most of them because everything is constantly changing. And it's different in an earthquake versus a flood. So one thing that became very obvious was that we really do not have any control at that time, and we are used to having a lot of control with technologies right now. Technology tells us when we are going to get picked up and we are going to get dropped off. We can plan our day to the T. But at that moment, it's all gone. So I believe we are not emotionally prepared for it because we rely so much on our cell phones, and at that moment, you have to rely on yourself.
So I think it's fascinating we're talking about this chaos, these moments of both need and the want to help, whether you're the one that's in need or you want to help, and how do you do that whenever what we rely on every single day, our general connectivity as a society, just completely disappears. And I think it's really interesting that you guys have found a solution in something so small. You've got like this little device that is fascinating.
Yeah.
So this is Project Lantern.
Yes. So Project Lantern, I can tell a little bit about it. It's really a keychain sized device. This is completely open source. This is 3D printed case, and within it is the technology. And anybody can assemble it without any kind of prior technological experience. It's a clip-on. And right now it's about, I think it runs about around $50, but then you can assemble. We are hoping that it'll be much less as we go forward because it's a prototype. And what Project Lantern tries to do is achieve two things. One is connect when some people are disconnected, and two is gather data and create visibility around how good or bad the situation is, because one area might need water, but another area might need medicines. So what it does is 6 or 7 of these devices in a town can create connectivity for that entire locality. You connect to Project Lantern via your Wi-Fi, and all it does is deliver this set of apps to you. And what essentially these apps try to do, it gives you sort of like a dashboard, these apps, where you can basically say what supplies you need, are you safe, and you're able to also validate. Let's say you're in a relief camp and you'll see that relief camp is a lot of water, and you're able to say, okay, yes.
So you guys are submitting to Call for Code.
Yes.
And it is, obviously you already have kind of an operational project for offline, but you do kind of want to take this online, right?
Yes. So one thing we realized, at least the first time when we started working on Project Lantern, we were very focused on offline situations. But once it's working and once we start to understand that, okay, we are collecting all this data, what do we do with this data now? Now, let's say the internet is back up. Or there may even be disaster where the internet didn't go offline even at all, you know, but we still want to use lanterns in those situations. So what can we do with that data that we are collecting? Because it's still a unique and important way to collect data. So what we want to do with Call for Code is really start to use the intelligence that IBM Watson offers to start to use the data as an agent. We want to build a dashboard which is going to have an intelligent agent that helps relief workers. So let's say a relief worker this morning, they're waking up and they're like, okay, I'm going to do these things. They have a dashboard they can look at and say, okay, this is the best route for you to use considering all the supplies that you have, because we know who is in need. And maybe that changes as 2 hours later, maybe that route changes because he starts to get more information, he or she is starting to collect more information, and the agent is starting to say, okay, you know what, we're going to change it out a little bit because more people need something here. Because that's one thing we notice in disasters, it's constantly changing, the landscape is constantly changing. And we also want to make sure the human makes the last decision, because we want the agent to be more like a support system, but definitely not the be-all end-all. So we want to create something that uses that technology as well as the weather technology that we have, so we can basically use that to create better feedback.
I have to say, obviously, you are doing the world a lot of good, and this is an incredible product. And I'm glad that there are people like you, and hopefully we have encouraged some others, right, to do some societal good with development skills, with programming skills. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
It's been a pleasure.